Okay, it is review day, and we have two reviews. We're going to be splitting them up because I want to talk a little bit about each of these characters in depth. So, for Summer, Elsie, stay tuned for the following video. But today we're going to be talking about Lucio, a big surprise. I was not expecting necessarily a new character, let alone a free character. And I'm happy to say that after spending time with this brand new story mode, Warrior of the Crystals, which is basically a more kind of side story, mini story that is supplementary to the primary story that is focused on these new characters. I have to say that so far it's looking promising for just its first little start. And as I said before, something to note about Lucio is the fact that his build is pretty darn easy. The thing that you will have to supply the most is EXP, as well as experience for his getting his weapons, trained, and his trained with espers and everything like that. But short of that, Awakening mats, one of the easiest builds I've done. Did it in 2 hours today. Most of the mats are directly you get from performing the missions. However, the rest of them are in the achievements, so pretty easy. But let's talk about Lucio. And Lucio is one of the two characters, as you can see from this book, part one. We are focusing in on Venera and Tyrell and a little bit of the story going on there. We're also getting introduced to our new characters. And thing to note about Lucio is that he is right now a pretty basic character, and he will be getting improved with each and every part that gets added. There are a total of 5 parts, one that will be added each month going forward. So, if you think about it, right now we're in August, probably either December or January, depending if there are any delays. By the end, we will have a fully formed character. And at the point of this review, it needs to be said that Lucio does not have a limit burst. Lucio does not have an EX. He doesn't have any improvements in that sense yet, so you cannot, unfortunately, really crank this character out as soon as you get him. But you can get him up to 99 and get his TMR. So we're going to be taking a look at all of that. So let's go right in here to mission 1, just so we can take a peek here. And this is what you're primarily looking at for a start for Lucio. As you can see, mine's level 88 right now out of 99. He's already been fully awakened. He's got pretty good support skills at this point. Haven't focused on his counter at all. And he's about halfway up the ladder in terms of mastering Odin, and is still an E rank, so his damage is kind of not quite there yet. We'll talk about why that's important near the end of this video, but taking a look at his resistances, as you can see, he's a pretty nice character just to, for stats and everything. Like right here, we're running at about 15% light resistance, and he does have some dark resistance as well that is provided by his master ability. He has a good amount between sword piercing and strike. He does have some weakness to shooting and magic, which is of course a little bit concerning. And as you can see here, he has some charm resistance, flow resistance, some confusion and blind, which is all pretty nice status effects. The real question, though, going forward is if any of these are going to change as he gets improved from the later story elements being added. And that's a big question mark right now. And that's kind of the problem with reviewing him, is the fact that we don't know how good he will inevitably be. But if he uses free build now, as he will be later, that's just going to make it a definite recommendation for. Alright, so taking a look at his kit here. So he is a light elemental character. He is an 80 cost character, but don't let the cost fool you. By the sounds of it, the devs are wanting to make him more powerful as a good starting point character for everyone who will be beginning the game. He does use swords, not great swords as well, so that's a pretty accessible weapon type. He is basically a great character for anyone to just start playing the game and get their hands on. He'll can be even better once we have the EXs. Main job is basically a brand new job that is kind of translates out to Warrior of Light or Faint Warrior of Light. So we'll see what Global does with that. But taking a look, also has Monk and Paladin. So this character is very much a bruiser type character. And that will probably serve him pretty well as an introduction character, as well as maybe a little bit strong in the future, depending on who he's going up against. Because this character is really applicable to a lot of different teams. First of all, his TMR, pretty easy to get. An accessory, 310 HP, 5 defense, 4 spirit. And as you can see from its ability, it's basically bells. It's 3-turn AP generation at maxed out 10%. I do believe that is the correct amount. I don't think it's supposed to be a bug or anything. Not as good as, regular bells, but it's, better than Apron and better than Noctis's TMR. So this will definitely find its use for anybody into the future. But it doesn't really have any other bells or whistles on it. It's Cape, so it doesn't have that. Taking a look at this unit's master ability, this is pretty cool. 5% HP increase for allies, increase all elemental attacks by 10 for allies, increase attack by 10% for self, and dark resistance. He is primarily a physical character, so this is great. As a light-based character, he's kind of was going to be weak to, that dark resist or dark element. So this is a little bit more protection against that. And he's just giving the entire party. This like I said, this character can work with essentially anyone. Having that HP increase for any character, again, it's just widely applicable and looking at his stats, even early on, not being maxed or anything, or having his jobs maxed, as you can see right now, it's pretty darn good stats. He's almost hitting already 4,000. He's almost at 1,000 attack. His stats are nice. Speed could probably use a little bit of use, so I'm hoping maybe that's going to be the thing that gets improved for him once he gets his X. Let's take a look at his job. So Paladin is here to provide HP, defense, and maybe a little bit of strength. He has the stun ability, the restore HP ability, restore HP for allies as well. Sentinel, which is the defense and spirit increase while decreasing evasion rate, which is fine. He's not an evasion character. Attract Blade, if he does want to take damage off of other units. Reduce physical damage taken by 50% for 3 turns to self. Paladin definitely seems like a good thing to run if you're ever wanting him to be more physically defensive, and he definitely can do that. So it'll be interesting to see, again, later once he gets his EX, whether you really want to run that or whether his main job will be good enough. Taking a look at Monk. Monk is, I feel, fairly underwhelming at this point, to say the least. He does have the ignore float damage one and some damaging abilities, increase attack for himself if you needed a attack buff ability, and a chance to inflict doom, but other than that, Monk feels pretty underwhelming. Taking a look at his main job, however, he is anything but. And interestingly, this is a character that heavily focuses on criticals and leveraging criticals from enemies, so I think that he could be a great partner with Cloud in the future. And starting off our discussion is this ability right here. It accidentally moved over there. This one, which is a self-buff ability that gives him single attack or single target resistance by 20 for 3 turns, which is nice. However, if he performs a critical, he does get a 40% agility boost. And again, this will be even more important if his EX has any speed improvements, anything like that, then he is going to be getting a big benefit from this, because a lot of his attacks do seem to be pretty good for critical. First one right here, as you can see, nice amount of range, 7 casts, 14 AP a piece is pretty cheap. 121% modifier, 50% crit chance on this ability. Good, 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 good. Moving on, we have this is the interesting ability in terms of how you will use it. Primarily, it is a slashing triple hit ability for 20 AP with 3 uses. Really nice, even has a little bit of range on it, so it's a little bit flexible, which is great. However, depending on which of his extra support skills you use, let's just find them. Like, for instance, this one, it will change his triple hit ability. I mean, it's always going to be a triple hit ability, but it changes it to damage types from its basic slash into striking or piercing damage. So again, Lucio looks to be capable of not only being a team player for multiple elements, but also different damage types, as he can participate in chaining in multiple different ones. It would be really cool if somehow he could actually change his elements, like he'd be totally chameleon-like, and you'd just be able to really make elemental chaining a thing of the past and not a concern anymore, but still pretty good. This ability is his big damaging ability, 200% modifier, 27 AP, 3 uses, good range on it as well, single target, and a critical chance of 999%. So with this ability, he can always, providing that he uses his buff first, he can essentially always guarantee a 40% 3-turn agility boost, which is, just to say, kind of good. Scrolling on down here, we have a party ability that will always be focused around himself, but also has a little bit of range on it to make it a little more flexible than some of the buff abilities. Gives slash resistance of 15% for 3 turns and dark resistance 5% resistance for 3 turns. I think this ability will be very important in the future for his own story content, but for right now, I think that this could just be good in certain situations. Again, really curious which of his best abilities will end up being the ones to get upgraded. And this one, as you can see, is an AoE, 24 AP, 3 uses, reduced counter chance for a target by 100 for 3 turns when it's fully maxed, 160% modifier, and increases critical damage for him by 35 for 3 turns. Long story short, taking a look at Lucio's main kit, very nice, heavily focused around critical. Going into the sub part of his kit does have a few extra things. This one, for example, is a restore HP and TP for an ally of 25% when fully maxed. So it's a great little single target heal ability, just because obviously being able to regenerate TP for some healers is really good, but it's not based on magic stat at all. It's just a 25% HP heal. Can be pretty clutch. Don't know if his AI is going to be really in the mood to heal. Definitely something I'll have to test out later, but it's a good ability to keep in mind depending on what challenge you are going up against. And last ability, the one that makes me think that you're not necessarily always going to be running Paladin, 165% AoE directly ahead of him, 3 panels. This is the one that has 165% modifier and cancels ability activation and a 25% chance to inflict stun for a single turn to a target. This is just a good ability. There's nothing, it's Magic Jammer on an AoE with physical. Nothing to dislike here at all. So yeah, I think for builds of this character, just taking a look at his 3 jobs, Paladin is definitely an option. Monk doesn't feel like really much of an option at all. If they really wanted him to be have a good strike option, I feel like you would probably just be using Fighter instead, but that's not here. So, but his main job is incredibly tempting with the stun as well as the ability activation cancellation, which is a bit of a tongue twister, but honestly, I think that there's a couple of different ways to build this guy, and both of them are really nice. Either way, relying on critical damage gives him some synergy with other units, but he has mass synergy with a ton of different units because of his wide variety of skills and damage types that he can contribute to. But if definitely a light slash team would be very welcome to see this character just really good. Um, Looking at his counter, Monk and Paladin counter I feel like are known at this point. So what is his primary job? Well, his primary job counter is essentially the Paladin counter. I'm not even joking, I'm looking at it, and it is the exact same thing. So this and this are the same, except you get this sooner, so just build that one. Taking a look at his support skills, for Monk, he has the HP increase and the strike attack increase. Okay, considering that he does have a chaining ability that just deals strike damage, that's actually an okay support, but you're only going to use it in very specific spots. For Paladin, he has the defense and HP increase, which is, you know, a good option if you want to make him, again, more of a brawler. We've already talked about his two supports that basically change his damage type. You know what, I'll even unlock this one right now. So those change his damage type on his triple hit ability. But his primary two ones are the one you're probably always going to want to run. First of all, move +1 and HP up is just, I think, way too valuable. It's better than having some extra defense. You can always use equipment to really bolster that. Unless you're really looking to, like, maybe make the enemy come to you, give him more times to do buffs and whatnot, and maybe you're doing that. And his other one, increase attack by 24% and critical rate by 12. Also, just a note I want to make really quickly, with Lucio being a primarily a sword user, I actually think that he is a really interesting unit for just a wide variety of equipment, whether you're using the light blade or the spine blade. There's a lot of options for this guy, so that's really cool. So yeah, Lucio is just a character I really like. For one thing, I mean, he's just so cheap and easy to build. He's got a great little TMR that's essentially a mini bells, which I think will be valuable in the future because we haven't seen anything quite as good since, you know, Ziza's TMR, and I don't think we're ever going to see anything quite as good. Even Noctis's TMR didn't offer quite as much, you know, AP generation. So it's a good, very, very good free TMR, but it does require some resources to max it. As for Lucio himself, I'm very excited to see where this guy ends up going in the future, because he just kind of has a really good foundation for his kit. And I have a feeling, you know, with this being a primary, you know, new piece of content and everything in the game, they're really going to want these characters to shine because they are Wotv characters. They are primary Wotv story characters. They may be a little bit separate from the main story, but this is quite a new piece of content to launch. And so I think there will be some pretty good attention given to this character. And I feel like with his, you know, it's just a question of like, how good is his limit burst? How good is his EX? What improvements are we going to see for him over the next 5 weeks or 4 more months? Are we going to see, you know, as well, maybe we're going to see some TMR improvements or something. I don't know, or stat boosts. I'm very interested to see where he goes, and I hope you are all too. So Globalers, you're gonna have to wait a little while for this unit, but I promise, definitely worth the wait. And they did follow through on their promise to make a really easy and pretty cheap character to build. But we really need a way to, you know, make this way faster. And don't say spending money. Anyway, that's all for this video. Next one's Summer Elsie. See you then.